She was not a loving mother. Nurturing did not come easy. Lucky he was raised to look up to her, to respect her, trust her. Mother knows best. She kept him out of sight, gave him the dirtiest chores, never allowed him to play with others. She didn't know how to give him what he needed, thought her boy hardier than he turned out to be. She should have wrapped him up warm, but she let him shiver, almost catch his death. When he felt ill, she thought he was faking, until his temperature reached 100 degrees and vomit pooled around his feet. Some people aren't cut out to be parents. He didn't think she was cruel. He loved her. He never complained, not at first. His smile could reach around the earth, but couldn't penetrate her heart. When she realized she could never love him, she wanted him gone, out of sight. Ashamed of her failings, she was quick to pack his things into boxes, to hand him over, send him back.
Okay, so you might remember this time, last Christmas just gone, Theresa May came out with an announcement, and amongst other things, she said that austerity is now over. Did you hear about that? I thought it was great news. All my problems are over. This is great. And I prepared a poem in celebration. This is called Austerity is Over, or It's Hard to Tell What the Weather's Like When You Never Go Outside. Austerity is over. That's what the headlines say. The government have sorted it. Everything's okay, no need to stress about the rise in rent that I can't pay because austerity is over. Oh, what a happy day. Austerity is over. Crack open that Prosecco. Don't fret about the cost of it. It's on me. I know I'm down to my last 20 quid. It was meant for the electric, but who needs light at a time like this? Austerity has ended. No more dank and dangerous towers. The clouds are raining diamond showers. The bailiffs just came round with flowers. Austerity is over. Austerity is over. Let's all give solemn thanks. The doctors and the nurses working 12 hours back to back got on a Caribbean beach with not a care at all. And all they're inundated with is endless volleyball. Austerity is over. It's such a special treat. Won't someone tell that homeless child who's begging on the street for soon he will be living in a mansion, grand and golden. Oh dear, what rotten luck that is. It seems like he is frozen. The schools have too much classroom space. We're all on double living wage. My mental breakdown has been saved. Austerity is over. Austerity is over. Quick, run out of your homes. Take those tins back to the food bank. You won't be needing those. This day will make the history books. It's a shame the library's closed, but austerity is over. That's all you need to know. Austerity is over. Look, here comes the parade. The banners wove from sanction letters of those worked to the grave. See the thousands in the streets. Hear the brass band play. Austerity is over. Oh, hip, 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 hooray. And on a float, made out of skulls, with big balloons and streamers, looking proud and rightly so, here come the country's leaders. Their clothes are so expensive. Things must be on the mend. Won't you pleased our politicians are as kind as them? What I saw that day was very difficult to explain. Nothing quite compares to the image of a deer running into a license plate shop. I thought it was a dog as it shot across the busy road, causing a white van to screech to a stop. But no, this was an actual deer in a busy inner city suburb, bolting towards the glass door, pushing it open with its horns, stumbling inside. I remember getting off my bike. I remember rushing over to the window, peering in. The deer pogoing around the small square of floor, the license plates on the walls, the shopkeeper behind the counter, frozen in disbelief, his big toe standing on a very sharp pin. A boy and girl of about my age ran over. I remember saying something like, maybe we should phone the RSPCA, and the girl suggested she call the police. I'll never forget the sound of that voice on the phone. Hello, Basically, this deer's just gone pure acca and ran into a license plate shop in Heaton. There was a very big pause. The emergency services were on the way. I tried to explain the situation to the frightened shopkeeper from outside, but it's hard to mime something specific like that. I thought about going in, but it looked busy enough in there already, and I was worried I might let the deer out anyway. That it would run crazed and startled back into the traffic. I'd never been this close to a deer in real life. It was at the door now, gazing at us with eyes like dark sides of the moon. It began frantically trying to escape, rushing into the glass over and over and over. It bust its nose, a brush leaving a thick stroke of blood. I felt every single thud. What exactly does one do when a deer runs into a license plate shop? What is the protocol for this scenario? I looked around, the boy, the girl, the shopkeeper. Nobody had the answer. So we all just watched it happen. I suppose that's how it goes. Mankind is born free and is everywhere in chains like a deer in a license plate shop. I saw the best minds of my generation destroyed by madness like a deer in a license plate shop. They fuck you up, your mum and dad, like a deer in a license plate shop. As the rescue team arrived, I realized we are all deer, perpetually running into license plate shops of our own making. We are bears in office blocks, giraffes in porter cabins, bluffing it, but sooner or later, we're going to take the wrong turn, get trapped in something we can't possibly understand, seize up in the headlights, or run desperately into the glass. Thank you very much.
Rivered like trout, there's this flash lad on his horse, spading hooves, his waterway gymkhana deep as a tall mare, banks hooked on pebbled gates, as he drowns thunder with heels, cannonballs firing 2 fingers up to the council, distant reavers. Hair slicked back, no saddle, all bridle, then stomach laid to withers, curb chains drape into her mane as he speaks in private of diving for a spell. And ear close they go under, pressed into the anvil black, sunk like a stone, till a bubble breaks, then a hand or an ear. He crests, stood on the mirror of himself, barefoot and dripping in black, wet denim, all teeth and chest shining, half boy, half hoss, all bray. Blushed with blood and false summits, outcast, I keep a familiar distance. Without wind cheats or the right shoes, I have words with mountains. Accent bending in the wind, I eke aloud Wordsworth's gypsies, the lines hung over me hawk-like as his cloud double slips the screes toward Appleby. Our look lands blackly there too. He saw us as spots, a spectacle, not the same fight picked in private fields. Is it time to move on? Let me sit this stone on the marker's pile. Tell the capital I am a traveller under open sky. And yes, our bonfire's still raging. Thank you.
Missing histories. At first, I was going to try a gimmick to force you to see me. I was going to ask the able-bodied to stand while I sit for 6 minutes in order to communicate the essence of different perspectives. You see, if the rapist flings some coins from the stolen purse back at their victim, Is that the same thing as philanthropy? But in the end, I decided that it's futile to try and convince someone of your humanity if they have already made a social contract to deny your autonomy, if they've been trained to dehumanize you. You see, missing histories present as invisible disabilities in imperialist society. And I have only 6 minutes to discuss the bullshit of several centuries, to speak of the dishonesties that are consistently swept under probably a Kashmiri rug. So let's talk heritage, eh? British heritage mixes up that which was freely commissioned and given with the forced donations from black and brown nations. And these involuntary donations continue to this day and are justified by the prestigious institutions that see work produced by people who look like me as inspiration whilst we are imitated. My evidence? Oh, well, in this room alone, I've counted at least 3 organizations and people who have appropriated the fruit of my creative womb to benefit another non-black congregation. They just snatched my ideas and passed them off as their own, enthroned now within the grey palace of their lackluster imaginations. I partly blame the BAME-ness, an imposed label that erases my blackness and allows everyone else full access to profit from my voice and my ways. When you are mere inspiration, your skilled iridescence is seen as a non-sentient manifestation of beingness, like an unschooled sunset, bursting with free beauty, free beauty, free booty, like the one you call Degna Queen, complete with the scare quotes, because how could she be royalty? And you think she is just a figurine. Her real name is Ngwindem, yeah, meaning Most High Priestess of God. We told you this, but we aren't counted as real people. Ngwindem is the embodiment of an ancestor goddess who lived amongst us. With regard to this discussion about heritage, the relevance is that we are seen by imperialist academics as unevolved hominids, and the belief bolsters their lie of racial superiority. I say they are culturally invested in our creative degradation. So the kidnapped Ngwindem was renamed Degna Queen. But then later she got an upgrade in the 1930s from ethnographic artifact to primitive art, and then through Man Ray's modernist camera lens and perspective, she was reinvented as representing savage and unthinking sexuality, which he saw as the defining aspect of Black African womanity, as our womanness, and that definition has remained in place ever since. Ngwindem has been sold and resold so many times that she has been declared the most expensive sample of African art on the planet. She's ubiquitous, you would recognize her. But not due to her inherent value or beauty, but because of the illustrious reputations of her creative and serial enslavers. So I have questions. What does it mean that British museums define British culture as the accumulated weight of stolen treasures? Why is it that demanding transparency in place of colonial lies is interpreted as the desire to topple Nelson's column? Nah, the column is fine. Just make sure that that little plaque tells us that he was an enthusiastic pedophile. Yes, I know you haven't heard of this. He filled diaries with his realized fantasies of the violent rapes of Black and brown children. And I know why you were not taught this, because the truth hurts. The fact that Churchill gloried in global genocide and that the selling and buying of African bodies like mine is how the British took the seed capital they used for your industrial revolution. And the ethnographic artifacts that populate the museums. And this appears to be what I hear being defined as British heritage, surely British identity can be so much better than define itself with this gruesome aesthetic. And to be honest, I was surprised to be invited to speak here, to sit at this table. The likes of me are usually dismembered and served in the buffet later, while our fates are discussed and decided by those defined as wiser and more objective than us. I don't accept the system or its categorizations, as I have dissented from a paradigm which only sees me and mine as plundered victims and serves our asses as the main motherfucking meal. But still, the servers have the nerve to ask me to hold their hands and imagine a world of purple people whose history is revisionist and always so positive. See, the tokens prove it. The abused tokens prove it. Death dealing and theft is reframed as capitalism. Cultural appropriation is relabeled as appreciation. The booty is remembered as one of life's free donations. In the end, the British definition of heritage will be decided by voices that will never live the life within the choices they are speaking of. And yes, we do feel systemically isolated. And although Nguyen has been famous for over 100 years, it appears that you still refuse to say her name. Missing histories, and within that, yet another missing her story. Thank you.
Colorblindness is silence. Colorblindness is denial. Colorblindness is an obstacle. Colorblindness is forgetting. Colorblindness fixes nothing. Colorblindness is looking the other way. Colorblindness makes you feel better at my expense. See my color. See my color and see our history. See my color and see our tears. See my color and see where we are enslaved in labels. See my color and see the assumptions you've already jumped to. See my color and see the stories you've already told about me before I even take a breath to tell my own. My skin color does matter. If we pretend that it doesn't, then we can also pretend that no one shouts across the street at me and says, "Are you legal? Hey, nigga. Do you have a bomb under your hijab? You're a Paki. Allahu Akbar. Or go back to your country." That's number one, every day. What's my normal? My normal is people thinking I can't speak English and talking about me in front of me as if I can't understand. What's my normal? My normal is an old man coming up to me laughing and saying, "Yo, dance for me, nigga." What's my normal? My normal is being blamed for the Twin Towers collapsing to crumbs on the ground. What's my normal? My normal is queuing in the store as I watch the cashier laugh at me with my friend, yet she scowls silently at me. What's my normal? My normal is having the talk from my mum. The time comes in every black child's life having to teach me how to respond to the police. My name is Amani. I'm 17 years old. I am unarmed and I have nothing that can harm you. What's my normal? We are twice as likely to live in poverty. We are more than twice as likely to be murdered. And our brothers are statistically more likely to end up in prison than at a top university. What's your normal? What is your normal? I am labeled illegal. I am labeled a terrorist. I am labeled unwanted. I am labeled a thug. I am labeled a troublemaker. I am labeled a slave, a cotton picker. I am stoned and mocked with the fabrication of a lie that all men are created equal.